What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horrorheads podcast. I have Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well today. I'm excited to get drinking and get to drinking and starting to talk some horror movies. So today we're going to talk about, I'm all over the place right now. We're going to talk about this new psychological thriller from Montreal, Red Rooms, and we're going to talk about an Irish horror film, Oddity. We also have a very special guest today, Aaron, host of the A&B Horror Movies podcast and huge physical media collector, is going to join us in a few seconds. You can follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast or email us your love and hate at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. But before we bring Aaron in, I have this brand new bottle of Middle West Spirit straight wheated
Ooh.
bourbon whiskey. It's a really cool little bottle. And I'm excited to kind of open it up and pour it. It is from Columbus, Ohio, believe it or not. And it's a
Wow.
95 proof, so I'm ready to drink this. I've never had it before. I'm imagining it's going to taste very crafty, but let's see. What do you got there?
Wow. Man, I got a classic today, man. I just got some Dewar's White Label.
Oh
I thought
shit.
it'd be fun to bring a standard sipper. This is like an everyday sipper for me, when I'm not drinking bourbon, I like to drink a little Scotch whiskey. So I'm going with the White Label today and I'm really familiar with it.
Yeah, yeah, we've been drinking White Label for years. I don't think you've drank Scotch on the show yet. I think this is the first time, right? Oh, you had J&B. You had J&B once, right?
Yeah, I think I had J&B once, yeah, and this is like super similar, but a little more closer to home to me. This is definitely one of my favorites, I think. So I'm excited to be drinking this, excited about the guest, and excited to start episode 2 of season 2. Again, it's just kind
Hell
of blowing my
yeah.
mind that we made it this far and we're still getting people that want to be on the show, and it's kind of crazy. So it's exciting. So why don't we cheers and talk about these drinks?
All right, cheers.
There you go. Cheers.
Ooh.
Ah, it's like going home.
So how does how does White Label compare to like some of the more high-end scotches? Because I know Dewar's is a little bit on the cheaper, more affordable side. I still like it. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna hate on it, but like, what is it like? It doesn't taste like dirt, which is
It
could
it
be a
it
good or
it
bad.
doesn't, but I would say 100% it's not smooth. It's not a smooth sipping drink. It's harsh when it hits the back of your throat. There's definitely a burn. It's very oaky, it's very smoky, it's very woodsy, and it's not that like, something like Blue Label wouldn't have like those oaky and smoky taste. It's just balanced a little bit better with those types of drinks, and this is it just hits you, you're just like it's like puffing like a mouthful of smoke really quick, and you're like, and then it has that burn, and it burns for a while, actually. I took that sip a couple seconds ago. I'm still burning from it, from something that's not really a high proof. So I think it's like 80 proof.
I still haven't tried Blue Label, and I'm going to
Mm,
have to for a special episode. I'm going to try that.
mm.
So, this is actually really interesting because I say this all the time, and I always think it's the wrong thing to say, but certain bourbons, like a bullet, I always describe as tasting grainy. And
Mm.
like, I always think that's the wrong word, but I'm looking on this bottle and it says smooth, full-bodied, 4 grain. So maybe I'm right. Maybe grainy is an
It's the
actual
grain.
taste. I'm tasting
It's
grain. So like I always
it's
thought that was the wrong thing to say, but fuck it, this Middle West spirits taste grainy, and it's because it's got 4 grains. There you go. I don't know how many grains of bourbon has. So the next episode we're gonna have a bourbon expert on, and he's gonna kind of school us and make us look like idiots. So he'll let me know how many grains are in a
Yeah,
bourbon.
we'll look like fools, but I'm assuming that grainy is definitely better than gravelly. So I would say go with it. I would say just go
Yeah,
with it, man.
I mean, it's okay. It's like got a little bit of that bullet taste, but it's harsh. It's got like a weird aftertaste that I'm having a hard time getting over. It sticks in the back of your throat, whatever this is. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm gonna be fine after I finish this one, but
Oh yeah,
I don't think I would buy this. But it's all right. It's okay. It's crafty. You know me, I don't like the crafty beers, bourbons that much.
that's definitely not you, but I would highly recommend the white label for anyone who's on a budget, or maybe someone who's just kind of getting into scotch and whiskey drinking. I mean, it's a good entry level. It's a good entry point. It kind of lets you set you up for kind of learning about it, and then you'll definitely understand as you move up each level and how smooth scotch could really start to become. So I think it's a great start. This is actually the first scotch I ever drank in my entire life. When I was first getting into this, someone told me to try it, and I tried it, and I hated every second of it, and then I just kept drinking it until I liked it, and here I am, probably 20 years later, enjoying it. So
I think the first one I ever had was J&B. I think that's a Scotch, right? It's like a blended whiskey or
yeah, it's
whatever.
like a
And I
whiskey.
remember
Yeah, but
the first time I tried that, I like thought it was the grossest thing I ever had. Now I love it. I
that's
drink
what
it
I'm
all the time.
saying.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, this is terrible. Like, what is this? So yeah, you gotta. It's an acquired taste for
It's
sure.
acquired taste, and everyone has said that my entire life, and I never understood it until, you get into it and you start understanding it more and drinking it more. It is an acquired taste. So anyone out there who listens to the show, we're inspiring you to maybe try some bourbon or whiskey. I mean, there's probably 100% chance it's not going to be your favorite drink, but try it 10 more times and then make a decision, because you really could be missing out on something that you're gonna love. And honestly, drinking like gin and vodka and other drinks like that, rum, it's hard. I can't even it's not, it doesn't do it for me anymore. It's like, for me, it has to be like a bourbon or a whiskey. So
You got to try the Japanese whiskeys though, because they do taste very like Scotch. At least the ones I've experienced. I think you'll enjoy them. You should definitely like. Some of them aren't that pricey. You can find some for like $40. I would suggest
I think that's the next geographic area I need to
it.
explore, because I have been ignoring it up until now, and I think it's time. So yeah, I know this place that's very, very close to my home, and they have a very wide selection of Japanese whiskeys, and I think that'll be the perfect place for me to start trying them.
Oh yeah, let us know. All right, so I'm
I
ready to
will.
talk some
Stay
horror
tuned.
movies. Yeah, I'm get ready to get fully liquored up, and we're gonna talk about again Red Rooms and Oddity, and I'm super stoked to get everyone's opinion. But before we do that, let's bring in our special guest Aaron and get to know him. What does that sound? How does that sound?
That sounds amazing.
Aaron, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
I'm doing well. Hello, Rich and Jerry. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, super stoked to have you on. We've been following your podcast and your various accounts on social for a while, and then super stoked to talk to you. I mean, Jerry flagged you to me a while ago, and yeah, we definitely are like fans of a lot of what you're doing. So really excited to get to know you a little bit.
Oh, thank you. And vice versa. This is going to be great. Thank you so much for having me.
You guys can't see it, but there's an incredible collection of physical media behind Aaron right now that would make anyone jealous. I mean, it's quite amazing. So, I mean, really, how'd you get into physical media? I mean, it's a commitment. Look at that space in your house. So what made you decide to
Well,
collect physical media?
that's a great question. In all honesty, though, I'm in my basement, so I've been given sort of free reign to do whatever I want down here. It's become my movie room. Gosh, physical media. Let's see. I started with VHS tapes back in the day, and then DVDs came out, and I just sort of switched to that. And I've just been collecting ever since. I've always been a huge fan of horror movies. I really like all of the boutique labels that are out right now, like Vinegar Syndrome. The Second Sight limited editions are fantastic. Severin, Arrow Video. Some of the editions that come out are just so nice, and I sort of get I guess I would say addicted to buying some of these editions. As you mentioned behind me, I have some shelves and some collectibles, and there you have it. I mean, long live physical media, right? Let's hope it never dies out.
I mean, it looks like Blockbuster Video behind you there. It's pretty
Oh, I
it's
don't know about that.
it's pretty crazy. And I knew you're a huge collector, and when we were kind of discussing, like, which films that we should talk about for this particular podcast, and you had mentioned like the physical version of Red Rooms, and it got me thinking. I'm like, does this guy stream anything? Or you just strictly a physical, like, if you're gonna watch something, do you have to press play, or do you stream anything at all?
Of course not. Although if I am in my basement watching movies, I usually watch the physical copy. I'm a huge fan of Shudder, the Shudder
Oh yeah,
service,
hell yeah.
and I watch a lot of my films at the gym. So I go to the gym at lunch. I do cardio on the elliptical or treadmill, and I put a movie on my phone and I watch it. It's sort of my escape. I do stream movies, yes. I mean, only a few times have I almost fallen off. the machine if it's really scary. Like a good jump scare.
I watch like Maury Povich at the gym or Jerry Springer. Like I watch shit like that. Like
At the
mindless
gym.
stuff. Yeah,
So
I can't focus on a movie. But no, it's
Oh,
super cool.
that's
I mean,
awesome.
physical media is having a real big resurgence. I think because there's so many different streaming services right now, it's so hard to find. Like if you're looking for a specific movie, it's like tough to find it sometimes, and it could go away at any moment. So it's nice just knowing you have it. And I know lots of studios are investing in steelbooks right now, which is like the big thing, and like you see lots of that and stuff like that. And I'm pretty much a streamer. I do have a huge Blu-ray DVD collection from like years ago, and I probably have like 1,000 movies that are just in a book somewhere. I never touch them. And the other day, I wanted to watch. It was actually a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to watch 28 Days Later, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it for streaming. I couldn't find it for rental. So I like had to dig through my boxes of DVDs to find it. And of course, it's in like the very last box I look at. But yeah, it was like and I don't even have a Blu-ray player. I had to like hook up an Xbox that I had from years ago. But it was like it felt good in the way that it almost feels like different when you play vinyl, when you actually like have a tactile experience with the movie. So it was like kind of cool. And then since then I've been going through my DVD collection and like playing a bunch of stuff. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, now you have the 4K editions. It's nice to check out, especially some of the classics in 4K. I just watched The Keep from
Oh wow.
1983, I believe, in 4K, and it was fantastic.
So different from how we originally watched it. I feel like we're all probably similar in age, so we all had like that square TV at some point. It looked a little
Yes.
grainy, and if you see like that DPI now, it's like you kind of cringe. Like, how did I enjoy this? Like, but back then, that's like all there was when you could see something like in 4K, and it's like it's so gorgeous and so rich, and you're like, wow. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
different experience. So do you just collect horror, or do you collect other genres as well?
That's a good question. Mostly horror. I do have a lot of sci-fi, but I have other films mixed in. Trying to see if I have a Disney. Oh, look, The Avengers. I have
Oh, there you
Avatar
go.
right
oh, I
So
see
here.
so you get
Avatar,
into
yeah.
a little bit of that. Yeah.
Are they in
But
any
maybe
order or are they
let's
random? Like
let's
how do you
delete that. Let's delete that. I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, my films are alphabetized, so I've got
Okay.
the numbers, then A here.
I'm gonna say like the fourth row down is still A. That's how many he has. Like I'm looking at four shelves and I'm looking at A. Avatar's on the
Yes,
fourth shelf, which is like I can only imagine how big this display
A
goes.
ends right here because then it
Jesus.
starts with
Wow.
the
There's
Babadook.
there's probably 100 movies just in A right there. Wow. Very cool.
I can't even.
Yes.
Is there a prized film that you own that once you had it, you felt like you had everything that you needed in life? So basically, like your most prized
Well, how?
Blu-ray.
Yes, yes. So Halloween '78 is my favorite film, and all of these right here are the first edition. I
Oh
mean, the first
shit.
movie editions of the first movie. There are a couple steel books that I got, some imports of Halloween that I would say probably are my prized possession.
They're pretty amazing, just from what we could see.
We check this out. I think it's Italian.
Not even opened.
It's like a
My
box set.
God.
That
Wow.
cool? No, I'm
Open
not.
it,
I don't
watch
think I'll
it.
open this one. And then,
Nah, man.
and then I have the 4K steelbook. This is French. La Nuit. Yeah, French.
Oh my God, that's
So how
amazing.
appropriate for the film we're going to talk.
We may have to release the video of this just so people can see like what we're talking about. It's amazing. So I don't have a very large collection, but I actually went into my attic today where I keep my collection, and I pulled out my most prized possession, Aaron, and I want to show it to
Oh
you.
gosh, what
So
is
it's
it? I
it's
can't
not
wait.
it's not that exciting, but it is
Oh shit, you have
Nail
that?
Gun
What? And
Massacre,
it's
and
signed.
it's
I
signed by
love that
Terry
movie.
Lofton. So this is my most prized possession. So
That's
actually,
so cool.
a long time ago, before he passed away, him and I became like AIM friends, and we used to chat on AIM. I don't know, you remember that, Rich? Like
Oh
I
like
yeah.
do remember
like
that, yeah.
the
I almost
instant
got in a lot of
messaging on
trouble on
like
instant
Yeah,
yeah, like yeah.
messaging.
So we became friends, and when he released it, he sent me this. So this is number 85. So that's
And that movie you can't even find anywhere. Like, I don't think that exists on streaming or anywhere. That's a hard one to get.
that's amazing. I love that film. TerrorVision put out a 4K copy last year.
Get out of here.
Really?
Wow, I wonder what that looks like in 4K because the quality was not good.
Eh,
Well, what year was this?
I
Like
mean,
1980,
it
right?
looks good, but
Yeah.
This is not good quality. It's basically he just transposed it to a DVD, but yeah, this is the only thing I have that it would be worth mentioning. Otherwise, I have a lot of like copies of copies.
I would say like what I have like my prized DVD is I got it in a video store in New York City. I have a DVD of the original Ju-on, that's a Japanese import. Not the
Mm,
Ju-on The Grudge, but the very first one that like
first
is you
one,
can't
yeah.
find anywhere. And I remember getting like a bootleg Japanese version of it that really turned me on to Japanese horror, and I still watch it all the time. And I don't think that exists on streaming anywhere. I don't think
yeah, that's
I've
awesome.
never,
No,
yeah.
I'm sure it doesn't. Do you want me to grab Nail Gun Massacre, the 4K?
Yes.
I can
Yeah,
see
let's
the
see it.
ends.
Let's see it.
Just give me a
Yes,
second.
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. That's why we're here. I mean,
He's got to
that's
walk into like three
amazing.
different rooms to get to N. That's
No,
it's like
it's
a
right
mile
here. It's right
away.
here.
He's still walking. It's a massive room. It's like a vault.
No, it's so cool. It's got
Aaron is in
the
a mall of films right now. Oh, wow, look at that.
Paravision. It's got the slipcover.
Oh, dude, that's dope.
Oh, I love
Isn't that
it.
Cheaper
cool?
than a
And
chainsaw.
you might still be able
Yes.
to get a copy from them. I haven't checked their site lately.
I'm going to have to because I was such a huge fan of his and he was such a great guy. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Oh, it's 2 discs? Oh, wow.
That's great.
Two disc. One is Blu-ray and one is the 4K, I believe.
Oh, okay, I was gonna ask, like, what special features could they have? Okay, cool.
Imagine those special effects in 4K. I guess it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna help or hurt that film.
Well, look, there are a ton of special features.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
TerraVision's
super cool.
they put out some good additions. The slipcover's cool on the back.
That's very cool.
That is
Looks
so
nice.
cool.
Oh.
It's
Man, that
a story that will pierce your skull and puncture your sanity. And it came with a t-shirt.
oh, that's forget it.
What?
You win. Aaron for the win. That's it.
Well, this isn't like vintage or anything. It just came out last year, but
So looking at that, Aaron, it's obvious you watch pretty shitty movies just like we do. So and you enjoy them as well. Do you have like a guilty pleasure film like
oh
that you don't
gosh,
like to let people know that you like love, but it's a top film for you?
one that I don't talk about much. Maybe Phantom of the Paradise, because I usually don't talk about musicals. And
It's a musical. I don't even know what it is.
if you like Rocky Horror Picture Show, you'll love Phantom of the Paradise.
2025, Aaron. What films are you looking forward to this year? Since obviously you're gonna probably collect them all. So,
Maybe. I'm looking forward to Hard Eyes that comes out
oh
next
yeah,
week, I
yep.
believe. I saw Companion last week. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, I want to see that.
The Monkey looks great.
Mm.
Bambi: The Reckoning, I kind of want to check out. Sinners looks interesting. There's a lot of sequels coming out. I have some notes here. You guys
Yeah, so
got me with the right question. 28 years later looks great. The new Final Destination looks awesome.
I mean, I do have concerns about some of these coming out because I mean, it's been a long time since we saw like a 28 days later film, and
Mhm.
it's like, I think probably
Yeah.
for me and Rich, it really brings us back to when we were fairly young. And is it going to be able to capture that same mood? I mean, it was insane like when you first saw it, but can they do anything that's going to be, I say, as shocking as maybe it was back then? So I'm a little nervous, skeptical, I'd say.
Trailer looks good though. The trailer looks really good for 28 days. Like it looks dark, but we'll see, right?
What do you think about Megan 2.0?
So here's the thing,
I'm
like I
hoping.
actually yeah, I did like Megan. Like I liked it better than I thought I would. It was a fun, like kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of movie. I don't think we need a sequel though. Like I don't really care. And I probably will watch it, but like I feel like that story was like good as like a oneer. Unless and I don't know what the plot is. I haven't seen anything much on it, but unless it's going in a completely different direction, I just don't know. I feel like it was like a moment in time, that movie, and like I don't know if it's like the same thing 2 years later. Like I don't know. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll watch. I'm hoping it'll be a R rating this time and
Ooh,
not PG-13, but we'll see. I mean, it was entertaining. We've also got I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot or sequel. I don't really know what it is, but that's coming up too.
Yeah, and I think they did like an unrated version of Megan, and they didn't really add anything into it. They added like 3 seconds of violence to like say it was like this
Oh yeah,
unrated
it's
version.
barely anything.
it was a longer dance scene
Yes.
or something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
If If there was ever a contest for an unnecessary dance sequence, Megan would win. But it's so awesome at the same time, right?
It
It
is. It
really it's
works.
what
It
made
works.
it's what made the film. Yeah, it's what
Yeah.
made the film for sure. It was definitely a talking point. It was definitely funny, but yeah, I mean, definitely a lot coming out in 2025. So, let's talk about some movies. So,
Let's do
for
it.
you, Aaron, what's next for you, man? In case your whole life changes after being on this podcast, how should people find you? How would you want them to contact? What would you want them to look at? What would you want to tell people?
Oh, sure. Well, let's see. I'm a co-host of A&B Horror Movies. You can find us on YouTube. My co-host Ben is in the UK, and we've been doing it for just over 2 years. So we've been having a lot of fun with our horror themed channel. We've had some great guests on. We also had a lot of fun just Ben and I chatting about horror movies and whatever comes to mind. You can also find me on Instagram at Aaron's Movies 8587. I basically just share movies from my collection and collectibles on there. So yeah, that's how you can find me: YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, definitely check out his podcast. It's awesome. Him and Ben are a lot of fun. They have a lot of great guests. We watched the last few episodes, and those are pretty huge guests you had on there. So,
Oh,
and
thank you.
always
Appreciate that.
your interview style, man. You really get in there, man. You know your details, so people could definitely learn a lot and really experience a lot of what's going on, like behind the scenes in filmmaking and directors and things like that. So I would say definitely check them out. You guys will definitely like it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We are humbled by the experience, and it's been amazing to chat with some of these people. I never would have imagined in my life that I'd get to sit down and talk with some of the folks we've had on, and it's been awesome.
That's amazing. And we feel that way too, just talking to each other.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
get into
yes.
I teased at the beginning we were going to talk about a couple of movies today. We're going to talk about Red Rooms, which I think I said, I don't know if I said it was from Montreal or not. It is from Quebec. It's a French Canadian movie that came out in 2023, and we're going to talk about this other Irish horror film, Oddity. I'd like to start with Red Rooms personally, so that's my show,
Mm.
so that's what we're going to do. So this plot of Red Rooms is there is a model slash internet poker player, Kelly Ann, and she becomes obsessed with the trial of this alleged serial killer who has allegedly murdered three very young females, all of which she has recorded and placed on the dark web. Two of those videos exist. The third is yet to be found. And as Kellyanne becomes more and more obsessed with this trial, she does some very dark and fucked up things, ultimately leading to her tracking down the final video of the third girl. And this is a movie where I'm watching it, and it's a slow burn. It's a very slow burn. It's about 2 hours long. And I'm watching it, and I'm kind of like not sure where it's going, not sure how I'm feeling about it. To me, it really kicks into gear, I would say, in the second half of it. But why I really wanted to talk about this movie is it does stay with you. And even though like it does take a while to get going, like the concepts behind it and the themes, again, it's really disturbing when you kind of peel back, Kellyanne and her motivations, and just she's not alone. Like there's lots of us are obsessed with serial killers to like a dangerous point. It made me think of, how a lot of these people get groupies and things like that, and people are just willing to forget these horrible things that these people did because they become so obsessed. So, I'm watching the movie and I'm not liking it, I'm not liking it, and then all of a sudden something happened and it just clicked for me, and it's like a movie I can't stop talking about. So like I would love to know
Really?
I'd love to know kind of your thoughts about it and kind of like how you felt, what it did for you. Was it effectful for you? Effective. Feel free to jump in,
Are you
guys.
asking me or
I'm asking
Jerry?
anyone. Aaron, yeah,
He's
Aaron,
asking
let's.
anyone.
I just wanted to stop talking. So I realized I was babbling for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, I need to stop and let somebody else talk. And I was hoping someone would cut me off, but no one did. So
Go for it.
Aaron,
Go for it, Aaron.
Aaron, what
I,
did you think of Red
that was
Rooms?
an
Just
I
yeah,
think
just so you
that
know,
was a
we're a mess
fantastic
here.
introduction. I think that was a fantastic introduction. In fact, as you were talking, I sort of got lost in what you were saying and thinking about the film. I think you described it to a T. And there's something about this movie that gets under your skin and you think about it long afterward. It is a slow burn. I only watched a little bit of it at the gym because it made the cardio experience excruciatingly long. Um, but there are a couple of things it does really well. The scenes in the courtroom, the way the camera moves around are haunting, and I don't even know how to describe it. Incredible. And then the development of Kelly Ann, played by Juliette Gariepi, I hope I'm saying her last name right. The development of her character is just astonishing to watch, the way it unfolds and the little sort of nuances about her. And then you start to see these moments like there's a scene, I don't know if you guys do spoilers. There's a scene when she dresses up like one of the, I just ruined it, dresses up like one of the
Go
victims
for it.
in the courtroom. And I didn't see it coming. And I think I said out loud, what the, and it was mind blowing. I liked the duality between her and her friend. She befriends this sort of groupie who is a real groupie, as you described it. Kellyanne, I think, is something very different, the way she's obsessed with the trial, and I think she has other motives. And it's interesting to see her friend Clementine sort of fall off because she reaches a point where she realizes this girl, Kellyanne's in a whole nother league, and this is, I'm not comfortable with this. And then she backs out. And then just, I don't know, the direction it goes in, even right up till the end, where you're both thinking, what's going to happen? What is she going to do in this house? And then it just sort of all comes together. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the movie, it teases a lot of stuff early on where, like, again, you're never really sure what her motivation is. And a lot of the movie, it's like you said, the shots in the courtroom, there's a lot of these long tracking shots where there's a lot of movement on the camera. But then there's a lot of shots where it's really just focused on like Kellyanne's face as she's on the computer, and it's like her reactions, and you're kind of like really trying to get into her head, and you never really know. And like you said, Clementine, her who she befriends, is like kind of like this innocent-ish, like, really believes the killer didn't do it, and is like, again, just kind of in love. And then, but Kellyanne is much darker, and we're not really sure why she's obsessed with this case or why she does the things that she does, other than like she has this kind of appetite to go down this really dark path, which really gets very dark towards the end. And that scene that you kind of quote unquote spoiled is like such a powerful scene. I mean, I'll set it up. Kellyanne dresses up and does her makeup, hair, outfit perfect to this girl that the serial killer murdered. And she shows up in the courtroom, and just the reaction of the people as they see her getting dragged out, it's like horrifying. And it's like, why would you do something like this? Like, it's, you think of the families in the courtroom that have to see this, and like, it's so fucked up. And it's not even the most fucked up thing that she does, like, which is,
No.
is wild. But yeah, like, it's an
It's up
interesting
there,
character
though.
study. Yeah, it's up there, and it's definitely an interesting character study of someone we really never get to know. Like, we don't know her past, we don't know why. It just kind of drops you right in the middle of this, which I really like, because it makes you kind of think and ponder all of these different questions.
That one scene, I think it's the only time in the film where the killer in that box looks up and he does the creepiest wave as she's getting dragged out.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, that whole scene, yeah, especially how, and because you're wondering how he's gonna play it, like the serial killer seeing this, like, is he gonna feel guilt, is he gonna feel
Gonna acknowledge
horrified?
her, yeah.
And then yeah, he's like, oh, it was sick, oh, fuck me up.
Yeah, definitely a disturbing film, honestly, when I first kind of put it on. And a lot of this film actually takes place in the courtroom. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be my type of film. Like, how is this going to translate into a horror film? Where are they going to go from here? Is this going to be like a Law and Order kind of type thing? And especially being that it was a French Canadian film, which I don't think I'm too familiar with past. I don't know if I could really name too many. But then, really, what kind of like locked me into this film was when the prosecutor was kind of giving that opening statement and just going through like Ludovic's crimes. Like, it was graphic, and it was just dialogue, and it was just so graphic. It's like you felt like you were there, and they're really like kind of bringing you into, like, they're making you feel for like these young victims who we haven't even been introduced yet. And I was like, okay, where are we going from here? Because like I thought I was going to totally disregard like that entire section, and every single time they went back into the court scene, I'm like, this is going to be boring. But they just played it so well, and it really locked you in. Even those, the quick shots of Ludovic just sitting in the box, being creepy, and he's just like crossing his legs or folding his arms, and it's kind of building his character, and you're like, man, this guy seems evil, but again, we don't know at what point like what he did or not. So that really worked for me. And also what I did like is also really the development of Kellyanne, because we don't know anything about her, but she seems like super savvy. Like she's like a model, she's an online poker player, but yet she's like hacking into people's like profiles, hacking into people's homes. Like doesn't seem like there's anything she doesn't know how to do. And it's just really strange. Like how does she know how to do this? And did she like pick up like all these skills basically just to research the crimes of this serial killer? So how far down like really the rabbit hole she got into of learning about this serial killer was she went to extreme lengths. And it just got crazy. I enjoyed it. I guess is the point I'm trying to get to. It's a slow burn, and there aren't any like really huge moments until we get close to the end, but it really locks you in.
Yeah, and I'll say like it does really force you to use your imagination because they don't show you a lot. A lot of it is either again like them describing things or you seeing people's eyes as they're watching like a computer video. And like you said about we don't know much about Kellyanne, it's like you get the feeling that this isn't the first time she's done any of this like crazy hacking stuff that she's done because it's so easy for her. Like just to set it up, like she becomes obsessed with one of the mothers of one of the victims and she wants to like figure out the password to unlock this woman's front door basically, and she just like goes through all these different websites, uses all these techniques, and it's just like effortless for her. So you kind of get the feeling that like she's been obsessed with this kind of stuff for a long time. And I don't know if she's escalated a lot to a certain point or she's always kind of been like kind of fucked up doing these kind of things because like again it's easy for her. It's not like she's like looking up, okay, how do I hack into a computer. She's just like, oh, I'm gonna go here, gonna go here, gonna go here. Like it's so fast and quick for her that you just you get the feeling that like this isn't new. Like this is just the first time we're seeing it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I sort of viewed her as a not lonely, but isolated individual. She has no furniture in her apartment, has trouble
Yeah.
connecting with others. I think her connection with Clementine was probably huge for her, even though she doesn't really let on. But there were subtle things like she bought her a racquetball or a racket, right? Which I think was huge. She gave her money for lunch, and that Clementine as a person sort of got through the, I don't know, got what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of made a connection with her that she normally doesn't make with other people. And I think there's the whole poker element. I kind of viewed it as she viewed the trial just like an intense poker game where she's trying to solve it. Just like on the train, she says something like, well, those are the rules. And I kind of like taking everyone's money, but that's just how the game is played. I think she sort of was applying that to the courtroom. And you also have to wonder that apartment was she only there in that apartment for this case? And then was she going to move on and move on to something else? And you kind of get that idea at the end when she just walks away. And there was like that dissolve technique at the end that made you think this part of her life is now over. She's going to move on to something else
Yeah, she's gonna find a new thing to obsess about. Yeah,
and to solve another puzzle,
right.
something that she can solve or a game she can play and somehow win ultimately. Um, I just want to say, I think what was most effective about this film was the use of what you don't see can be the scariest, because you don't see any of those recordings, but you can see their faces as they watch. And it was so interesting to see Clementine face and composure like crumbling, and Kellyanne was just straight on
Stoic.
watching.
Yep.
Yeah, and just the scene that Aaron's referring to is, Clementine and Kellyanne are kind of like bonding over this trial, and Kellyanne sees kind of like how Clementine views the killer. So Kellyanne shows Clementine the actual videos of the murders, and what you see them watching it together, and you see the horror and the shock on Clementine's face as she watches these brutal. She can't even watch it. Like she's been obsessed with this case, but now when she's actually seeing the violence, she can't take it. And Kellyanne is just sitting there like watching it like nothing,
Like
like
she
not
watched
even
it 100
affected.
times.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
even affected. And it brings me to like what the best scene of the movie, in my opinion, that really kind of moved me and locked this movie in. There's a scene where Kelly finds out that the final video is accessible and people are going to bid on this video, and one lucky winner is going to get to see the video of this horrific crime. And concurrently, as she's bidding on this video, she's playing online poker and gambling to win the money to do this. And like she said something early on about like not letting your emotions take control of you, but they clearly do. And she basically makes this final bet that bets all of her money. And I looked it up, and the value, they're playing in Bitcoin, and the value of what her final bet is to win the video was $500,000. I'm sorry,
Wow.
$400,000. But it's funny when I'm watching it, I'm thinking of Bitcoin now, and I'm like, holy shit, that's $2 million. But it was 400.
Yeah, it's gonna be like $2 million.
Yeah,
Oh, at
still
the
a
time,
lot
I thought
though.
the same
Four
thing.
hundred
Oh
thousand
my
dollars.
gosh.
She
Still a lot.
lost her job.
Yeah,
And
and like again, we don't
spent
know
four
if she
hundred
has
thousand
like
on a video.
yeah, we're assuming that's all the money she has, the way they set up the
Yeah.
scene. But she was willing to bid 400,000 or lose $400,000 to win, the poker match to win the video. And yeah, it's like amazing. Like someone like would spend that much to see this horrific crime, but people like want to see snuff films. They want to see that kind of shit. So I'm surprised it didn't go for more
It's
money, to
very
be honest.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think one of the most interesting scenes was Clem called that talk show, and she was talking to that guy, and I love the way that they just shot that scene where basically like the camera was behind Clem, and like the TV screen was in front of her, and she was standing there, and it almost felt like her and like this host were talking to each other, and she was like in the room, and he was talking like directly to her, and he was kind of like putting down her beliefs, and you could kind of see her reactions to it as if she was talking to this person like in person. So it was just so effective for me, and it just looked amazing. It was very clever in the way they shot that to kind of bring you into that scene and really make like, we were all in that scene as well. There are times where I thought like, oh, is this guy talking to me? Like, is he talking to Clem? Like, I thought that was such a great scene. And I think it might have been at that point where I realized that there's a lot more going on in this film than maybe just like, what I'm seeing. I feel like they're trying to make like a few different types of statements, whether it's like, some sort of political statements about like, the dangers of technology, just how close we could, with information online, how much information we could find about like, people's private lives and things like that. And it was just that moment there where things just kind of started clicking for me. And I was like, man, this is a clever film, and it's really not just kind of like this linear kind of going through this trial of the serial killer and figuring out who did it, because I was like, this is a mystery, but then I was like, "Ah, I feel like it's more than that, and I could see I didn't know at first in the first 10 minutes. I would be like, I don't understand why this is anyone's favorite film of 2024. I don't get it, but when it ended, I was right there. I was like, this is a good film.
Yeah, I would say for the first 40 minutes or so, I was kind of like, what am I really watching here? Like, it wasn't that
Yeah.
I was bored. I was just kind of like, I don't know what the plot is. I don't know where this is going. And then, yeah, as it like unravels now, like I want to watch it again for sure, just because I'm sure there's lots of things you could pick up on because it's subtly smart. And it is one of those movies that does drag you in. It's not a horror movie. It's like, I guess it's a thriller. It has thriller elements. I don't even know really how to describe it, but it's definitely one that, again, if you need to be locked in and paying attention, and it does get you. And I think that scene you referenced, Jerry, where Clementine calls a talk show, that's kind of where it turned for me, I think, where I was like, like you said, there's something more going on
Something,
here.
yeah.
And this isn't just like a generic kind of movie. And I need to like actually start paying attention now. And then like from that moment on, it just like the scene after scene after scene of that is like super effective, and as it kind of builds the story. So I really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to in the very like beginning. Yeah, I was really surprised by, and I get why people are putting this on their top 10 lists, just because it's different. It's nothing I've seen before, and any movie that I want to keep talking about after it's over is effective for me. So let's wrap this one up, because we do have another movie to talk about. So Aaron, on this show, what we do is we rate each film that we watch on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives, 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. You could do halves,
Yes, I saw
and
that.
we do play a drinking game on the show that Jerry and I are going to play, and how that's going to work is the number of bloody knives that I give are the number of sips Jerry needs to drink. The number of bloody knives he gives are the number of sips I need to drink, and the number of bloody knives you give, Aaron, Jerry and I are both going to sip for that. So let's get
Oh my
Aaron's
God, what are you
rating.
guys drinking?
Oh, we are drinking some whiskey here tonight. Um,
Very cool.
yeah,
Um,
it's kind of what we do here. We're a bit of a mess. So I'm gonna let Aaron give your rating first,
well,
and then
before I do,
cheer.
I've got a hop water,
Oh,
which
okay.
What is
is
hop water?
a
I don't even know what hop water is.
sparkling hop water with adaptogens and nootropics.
Is
It's
that
non-alcoholic, so it's not as
okay?
exciting.
Does it taste
Um,
like it tastes like hops though?
Tastes kind of like seltzer, but it's got
Mm.
ashwagandha,
Oh,
L-theanine for
so it's good for
mood
you.
and cognitive performance. It's got a bunch of other things I don't know.
Oh, so you're getting
Amarillo.
smarter.
It
We're
sounds
we're getting
healthy.
dumber. He's
We're
getting
getting
smarter.
dumber. That's what I'm
Well,
picking
I
up
would
from
say,
this.
well, you guys said you're all about drinking, so I thought I would grab some. It's
I
kind of
love it. I love it.
interesting.
I love
I
it.
would
I've
say
never seen that. That's cool.
4.5, 4.5. Yeah,
4.5.
it's
Wow.
good.
Okay.
I get it still gets me to go to the beer store and I can buy something.
No, that actually, I really want to try that. That looks really good. I'm gonna see if Bembo has that. So, okay, 4.5 for Aaron. I let's cheers. Let's drink to that, Jerry, really quick, because that's a long one.
I say like chug, chug.
Oh man.
No, I can't. Four and
Thanks,
a half is
thanks a
tough.
lot, Aaron. That was brutal.
So I'm not gonna rate it as high as Aaron, just because it is a little bit of a slow burn. But I'm gonna give it what I think is a pretty good rating. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Because I really liked it. Is it like my favorite film? No, but I really liked it, and I after I rewatch it, I might bump it up. But for now, 3.5. Jerry, what do you got?
Yeah, nice. To me, it wasn't a horror film, but the story inside the
Mm.
film was a horror film. I mean, we're talking about like one of the most horrific crimes, one of the most horrific serial killers. And to me, it was super effective having that like in the backdrop the whole time. And it made you just have this like this feeling like this ick feeling the whole time that you're watching it. So, it did have a lot of those horror elements to it. So I did understand how this kind of got picked up, and appreciated by the horror community. And I'm definitely one of those people that it picked up and appreciated it. I really enjoyed this film. I'm definitely going to watch it again. I think I really enjoyed the character of Kellyanne, and I want to learn more about her. So I think I need to watch it a little more deeply. I'm giving it 4.
Nice, nice. I'm actually pleasantly surprised you liked it as much as you did, because I wasn't sure. But yeah, awesome. Let's cheers. Mm.
Oh
Cheers.
yeah.
Cheers to the hop
Cheers,
water.
Aaron.
All right, cool.
Woo.
So we're gonna
Oh
switch
man.
gears
Oh,
a
I
little
I don't know
bit.
if I mentioned it's mango flavored too.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
even
wow, even
yeah.
better.
I'm getting thirsty
Okay.
now, man.
Cool. So we're gonna switch gears a bit. We're gonna talk about another slow burn, in my opinion. Very different film, and maybe not as slow a burn as Red Rooms, but definitely different. The movie is Oddity. It is an Irish horror film. The plot I'm going to give really quick. It's Danny, who is the wife of a creepy-ish psychiatrist, is brutally murdered in her new country house. Her twin sister, Darcy, a blind clairvoyant, is investigating the crime, and she uncovers a sinister plot as she figures out who actually killed her sister, resulting in a shocking and tragic conclusion. So I've seen this movie twice. I watched it a while ago and then I rewatched it for the podcast. It's a very different kind of movie than I've seen in a long time. It's definitely like a mystery, and you do have to pay attention to figure out what's happening in it. It's another one of those where, yeah, it's a horror movie. There's some jump scares in it. There's like some supernatural stuff. Towards the end, it starts to get a little more horror. It does play a bit more thriller, in my opinion, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely one of those movies that like unravels as it goes on. I think my big complaint about this movie, why I'm not like a huge fan of it. It's okay. In my opinion, there's a little bit too much plot. I don't know if I'm describing that right, but there's like a lot of things that happen where it's like they over explain some stuff, and like as it's going on, like when you try to figure out like who the killer was, and I just felt like it kind of took you out of it. There's like a side plot with a ghost, which is like kind of like I don't know how that kind of fit in. Like I guess I do. But I just feel like there was like too much going on for this movie where I kind of felt like I don't know, it just made me feel like, oh, like every time they would explain something, I'd be like, okay, like I don't that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. So it kind of it took me out of the movie a lot the way the story was told, and I felt like there's a much better movie in here that it just could have been a lot better in my opinion. I don't know, Aaron, what did you think of it?
I loved it. I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of Damien McCarthy. I was trying to find Caveat. He did
Oh, there
I've
it
never
is.
seen
Caveat,
that.
That's awesome.
which I love. Scariest bunny ever, man. I love this film. So I kind of knew what to expect going in because he creates like these slow burn, sort of atmospheric, creepy films. I guess I see what you're saying though, that there are a few storylines kind of thrown in there, but then they do come full circle, like with the bellhop, which I thought was a nice little twist in the end. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it worked. It worked for me.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Like I'm not saying I just have my enjoyment of it. I just felt like again there was too much. I don't do well with like with a movie where they have to keep explaining things to me. Like, oh, by the way, like this is like why I did this, or I like it just there was a lot of that going on, and it kind of took me out of the story. Like especially like I would say the back half of the movie. I think the first half of it is pretty good, and like it's atmospheric for sure. It's creepy. You're not really sure what is going on. And then I think the end, like the final act, just kind of again, it just explains too much. There's too much writing, I guess, in my opinion. There are some good moments. I think, the oddity that it's named after is this big wooden
Yeah.
golem type creature that like it's so like the blind sister gives the husband of her late sister and his new girlfriend this life-sized wooden creature basically that is disturbing to look at. And like I guess one of my plot holes is like why would you ever take this thing out of the box and then sit it at a table? If someone brought that to my house, I would be like, get that fucking thing out of my house. But it said, like, and I know this
Absolutely.
guy's a little creepy and crazy and he just wanted to get out of there, but they like set it up like sitting
Mm,
at the dining room table and it's just sitting there for like basically an hour and you keep seeing it and it's creepy as hell. It's
Love it.
scary. It's scary. And you're like,
mm.
something's gonna happen with it, which something eventually does happen with it, which is pretty cool. But so they're
And the
definitely good
holes.
moments. Yeah, yeah.
God.
There's like holes in this thing's head, and it's like there's some witchcraft involved. It's creepy, and this movie does have scary moments for me for sure. Like, but I just think again, that's my opinion on the bat. It didn't satisfy me, I guess, once I like figured out what the plot was. Jerry, I don't know what you think.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of layers to this film. I mean, there's like asylum involved, and we don't know, if the tenants are involved with this mystery. There's a doctor. There's supernatural things going on. There's clairvoyance. There's so many things going on. But to me, I feel like it did work. My first impression right off the bat is the cinematography was fucking gorgeous, man.
Agreed.
I thought
Agreed.
some of those first shots, those landscape shots, they're sharp, they're gorgeous. And it moves to the asylum, and then I get nervous because these are not my types of films. So I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't really stay here because I kind of find those films a little jarring and they kind of get to me. But no, they really kind of pulled this out into like a super isolated home, and as you mentioned, the atmosphere was incredible. And there's a thunderstorm and all the elements that I really get into when I'm watching a film. And really the way I approach this is it was like a supernatural mystery. And I was like, okay, I need to figure this out because we're getting like a lot of bad witnesses here of like who did the crime, who didn't do the crime, who do we believe. And for me, there were a lot of twists and turns, and they were pretty shocking, I would say, as we find out these things. I mean, one of the first scenes is when Danny is home alone, and that creepy guy, Olin Bull, shows up, and they're like showing like his like basically like his head out of like that weird kind of like peephole giant slot thing. And to me, I mean, like you're looking at this guy. This guy looks like a lunatic, but he's warning her and he's telling her, that somebody snuck into her house. And you're like, I don't know, man, this guy's creepy. Do I believe this guy? Do I not believe this guy? And she doesn't know what to do. And they kind of leave you hanging at that point, and then she's dead. I mean, to me, that's what a setup. I mean, what a setup. Like what everything after that is like what happened? I thought Darcy was a great character, and she was blind, she was clairvoyant, And just hearing her information, you're like, is she right? Does she know does she actually know these things? She really have, because like, as soon as you hear someone's clairvoyant, you're like, do I believe that they really have these unique powers and things like that? And I mean, there were so many elements. I found it super creepy. I felt a lot of dread, and I really didn't know what was going to happen next. So I really got into a lot of the scenes in this film.
I think there was just a few things like again I had a hard time with it, like how the story went. Like so, this blind clairvoyant woman, you find out apparently she murdered somebody like brutally, and it just made like I don't how did she do that? Like it just
I
seemed
mean, she,
odd that would happen. Like there was a lot of these things where you're like, okay, that happened, and then like finally like the psychiatrist is kind of like setting up the blind woman to get murdered, and he's like, okay, my phone doesn't have a signal. I'm gonna leave it over here. I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna call you. When I call you, pick up the phone. Like maybe I just like was thinking
Mhm.
too hard or just missed. I'm like that made no
Well, when you
sense to
put it
me.
like that,
So they were like again, it was like all these things that like were like it felt like a lot of banana peel kind of things where like again they're
all
just
right,
throwing in
okay, all
certain
right.
things to
It's
like get to the story
get
like
to the next part. All
and Aaron,
right.
for those of you who don't like banana peel means it's like when you're watching like a movie and like someone's chasing somebody and they're about to catch them and then they just happen to randomly slip on a banana peel. There were like a lot of these things that like the whole if you just like told me the outline of the story I'd be like okay that was great, but I felt like there's a lot of things in there like how'd you get there, like it just I don't know. I felt like it was some bad writing, but again, it's stylistic. It looks good. It is creepy. I just think it got a little convoluted for me, and I don't want to keep repeating that, but and you know what? I would have liked to have seen that Gollum do more. Like it kind of was a little bit of a letdown for me. Like the thing does come to life. It does attack somebody, but doesn't kill him. Like it just, I don't know. I felt like I wanted something really like, and again, this wasn't that type of movie, but I think I really wanted something more brutal and intense because that thing was fucking scary. And I just felt like they misused it, and it could have been budget or like why they couldn't show it certain ways or whatnot. But I don't know. It just like let me down, I guess, and that's really it.
yeah, I could see that. I sort of like the unpredictable nature of it though, because you just sort of assumed that that mannequin was going to kill everybody, and then it ended up. I mean, they set up that whole bell and the bellhop um, storyline perfectly because you kind of forgot about it, and then at the end, you're like, "Oh my God, don't ring the bell!"
And who would
Like,
do that? Seriously, Aaron, would you have done it? Because after everything
Yes.
you saw that night, would you have hit that thing?
would you ring the bell? Yeah, I don't
I
know. It's
wouldn't.
like the
Not
the
me.
Far Side comic, right? The big don't push button.
No, I think he felt like he could get away with anything. He got away with like the murder of two women basically and was like, fuck it, like I can do
Mm,
anything.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, like again,
mm.
the movie is unpredictable. You do not know where it's going, and if you think you do, you definitely don't. And I give it credit for that. So again, not saying it's a bad movie. I understand why people really liked it. It just wasn't for me. But I do get it because there are things in it that, are really good and really solid. And I am interested to see more from this filmmaker. I definitely would give another one of his movies a chance. Um, so yeah, that's where I kind of stand on it.
Have you seen
So what's
Caveat?
caveat about? What's the
Um,
plot? I see it. There's a killer bunny, but what is that?
this little bunny. First of all, it's the scariest little bunny ever. It appears in Oddity. It has a cameo. So when they
Oh, get
show
out.
like in
Oh, I
her
do remember
shop,
a bunny. I remember that. Yeah, I do remember there's a
it's on the
creepy fucking
shelves. It's
bunny.
this
Yeah.
bunny.
Oh,
Oh, that's super dope. I do remember
so they
noticing that. You see it
connected
in the
it. That's
oddity
so
shot.
cool.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know. I
cool.
Yeah.
can't see. Yeah, so we actually interviewed Damien McCarthy last year, and he was telling us about Oddity at the time. This one is about a guy who has amnesia, and he gets this weird job where he goes out to this house in the middle of nowhere, and he has to watch after this girl, but he has to wear this harness where he can't go into certain rooms, and he because he's chained to the harness. And I'll leave it at that, man. It's
Wow,
it's really good.
that sounds creepy, and it sounds like Damien McCarthy's kind of really into like these isolation type films because really to me, I mean, that was probably one of the most effective parts of this film, and I think that's what made a lot of it believable, Rich, is that they were basically out there alone in the middle of nowhere, the power goes out, and then like kind of like all hell breaks loose at that point, and where do you go, what do you do, who could help you when you're in that situation out there. And I to me like that was super effective. I think it made it very scary when obviously when the lights were out and we saw like this wooden thing like the golem I think you're calling it. I mean, and it looks like it kind of, if you look at it long enough it feels like it's moving, and you're just like, why is that thing here? How come no one put it outside yet? You
Yes,
know.
Yeah, and
And
by Gollum, I don't mean like Lord of the Rings. I mean like the Israeli
of course.
folklore monster type thing. That's what I mean. But or Golem. Sorry, I said
Golem.
Gollum. I
Okay.
mean
All
All
right.
right.
Golem.
Yeah. I don't know the
Yeah.
correct word.
I'm
To me,
I'm with you.
I called it a wooden thing in
It's
my
a
notes
yeah,
here,
it's a wooden
like
thing for
a
sure.
wooden
Yeah.
statue, I think is what I have. But again, yeah, I thought that was going
Yeah.
to be a lot more of, the plot, but it ended up being, mostly the people, that were the monsters in this film, and they're all like pretty shitty people, I mean, Darcy was basically going there to kill this guy out of revenge. She already killed someone else out of revenge for her sister. I mean, Ted is pretty shitty. I mean, he was just having an affair, so he kills his wife essentially. I mean, there was no good characters. What was the guy that worked there?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I don't remember his name, but the orderly, and this is probably
The orderly
one of the
guy.
creepiest scenes in the movie. So the psychiatrist is basically talking this orderly into going to kill his wife, and the orderly is like, it would make sense if like the motivation for the kill was like something sexual, like, and that would, and the psychiatrist is like, no, he's like, don't do that, just kill her. I want it to be painless. And the guy's like, well, like, what if it kind of just went that way? And he's like, no, like, just kill her. Please do not rape my wife. Like, it was just the way the orderly played it was like so creepy. He's like, well, what if it, just happened? Like,
And he
so
was
fucking
creepy
creepy.
when
Really creepy.
when
Yeah.
when they actually show him kind of dressed up in the killer's kind of outfit. He's wearing a mask, he has a hammer. I mean, that was, and I don't know why she was in, I know they explain it really quick, but why she was like in that tent.
I wrote a note on that. Like, it didn't make any sense. And they do actually explain it, but they don't really explain it. Like, I have no idea why she chose to stay in the tent. And I don't think they had furniture yet.
But a
But
tent, you're in
yeah,
the
it
house.
was odd. It was an odd choice to stay in a tent right by the front door. Like, I think you would probably stay deeper in the house if you were going to do that instead of like right by the door where a guy just, well, basically to set it up. Like, not only is she sleeping in this tent, but she's sleeping in this tent the same night that this creepy guy came to the door 20 feet from where this tent is saying there's a killer in the house. Like, I probably would have moved the tent somewhere else, like maybe upstairs in a bedroom or something. So it was odd. Again, the movie had a lot of odd choices. The acting's really good though. I think the director did a lot with the budget. Like, it's a really low budget movie, but it looks great. There's minimal characters. It's so, again, like, I'm don't want to hate on the movie, but there were some interesting choices for sure when it came to the plot.
When you interviewed Damian McCarthy, Aaron, was this film already out, or was it coming out at that
It
time?
was
And
it was coming out, so he talked a little bit about it.
did he give any insight that maybe, that would help us out here in this
No, no.
situation, and maybe put Rich over the edge?
Maybe we should have him on.
Yeah, go for it. He was amazing. It was really cool to chat with him. Really,
I'll have to listen to that episode. So again, just for everybody, Aaron's podcast is A and B Horror Movies, which you could find on YouTube, Spotify, and other places. So let's wrap this one up because it's been a fun night, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. So, Aaron, I know you really you like this movie. You chose this movie. I'm scared what your rating is going to be because I've already drank a little bit, but give it to us. What do you got? 0 to 5.
well, I mean, you made valid points, but I think I'm going to stick with what I would have said, and that's a 4.
Nice. Yeah, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so that's a 4. Jerry and I are going to drink our 4 sips. Cheers to that.
You guys don't have to work tomorrow.
We do. Luckily for me, though, I am on the West Coast and it's still only 6 o'clock at night, so I have some time to walk
Oh,
around my neighborhood
nice,
and sober up. Jerry's on the East Coast,
excellent.
so I feel bad for him. Where are you based, Aaron?
East Coast too. I'm in Massachusetts,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
cool,
right next
awesome.
to Salem, Witch City.
Oh, which I still
Awesome.
have never been to, and it's on my list. Okay, so as you could tell, I didn't really love this movie. Didn't hate it either, but I have watched it twice. I probably am not going to watch it again, and that goes into my rating. I'm giving it a 2.
Wow.
Yeah, look, I'm again not saying it's a bad movie, but it's not one that I really enjoyed too much, and I don't think I'll watch it again. Wasn't for me. How about you, Jerry? What do you got?
All right. Um, I, I thought it was a good film. I felt dread and mystery throughout. I really didn't know how it was going to wrap up. A supernatural ending was just as shocking as any potential ending they could have went with. So I was like, wow, okay. I'm like, again, I thought I did obviously see that, there was a lot of layers, maybe it was a little overwritten for what they were trying to do here, trying to incorporate, a little bit too much, but I still found it interesting. I think I will watch it again. I think there's more to this film that maybe I might have missed when you're really just trying to like get a grasp of what's going on. And then, for me, it hits that mood, it hits that atmosphere. So I think I will try it again, just when there's not as much pressure on watching it and I'm not taking notes and things like that. So I'm gonna give it a 3. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I watched it because honestly, I've seen this come up like 20 times, and I'm like, just the description of this film is so complicated. I'm like, I would never have watched it unless you suggested this. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this
Oh yeah,
because it was like 2 paragraphs for like a plot description. And I feel like if you can't do your plot in one sentence, then there's a lot to it. So I probably would have skipped it, but I'm glad I didn't. So I'm giving it a 3 and maybe
excellent.
bump that up in life the next time I watch it.
Yeah, it's funny because Aaron, I did watch this movie like a couple of months ago, and I remember telling Jerry about it, and I like, I was kind of like, yeah, you're not gonna like it, but he did end up liking it. So I'm
Oh,
glad you chose it for him because
excellent.
I'm glad you got a good experience. All right, so that's a 2 for me, 3 for Jerry. Cheers.
Cheers and
Shot
cheers to you,
strong.
Aaron.
Cheers.
Mm. Yeah, so Aaron, thank you so much for coming on. It was a real pleasure to have you on. Just once again, if you can give kind of like your socials and where people could find you and stuff like that, if you want to do some plugs, now's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say check out Caveat. If you guys do, I would love to hear
I'm gonna
your
check it.
thoughts on it. Your thought, and
Yeah,
it should be on
I am gonna
Shutter.
check it. I'm definitely gonna watch it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. Social media. I'm on Instagram. Aaron's Movies 8587. My YouTube channel A and B Horror Movies. You can check us out on YouTube, and we're also on Instagram at AB Horror Movies. You can find us there and YouTube as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much. And how often do you do your podcast episodes? Like, what can people expect?
We try to post a video every Friday.
Oh, every week.
Wow.
Wow, better than us. We're
Every
bi-weekly
Friday.
because we are lazy.
Bi-weekly. We've
No,
skipped a few weeks, but for the most part, yeah, every Friday we've been keeping up with it.
very cool. That's
Bi-weekly
awesome.
works too.
Yeah, I mean, whatever,
Thank you.
it's trying to do your best, right? All right, or
Of
we're trying to
course.
do our best. Yeah, awesome. So thank you again for coming on. So next week, I'm not sure what films we're talking about, but I believe we're gonna have a really cool guest that I'm super stoked about. So that's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, episode 2, season 2, man, we did it.
Man, that was a lot of fun. Thanks again, Aaron. So happy we finally got to do this. I really felt like I
Agreed.
knew you this whole time, and now I feel like I even know you more. So I look forward to our
Excellent.
to doing this again. So thank you so much
Yeah,
for making this
anytime,
film
guys. Thank you. I had a blast.
Awesome.
awesome.
All right, good night, everyone.
Night.